Hi, welcome back, and thanks very much for clicking Learn More earlier on. Welcome back to Emotional Mastery, how to master your emotions. And over the next 3 sessions, all included in your price, I'm going to start to unpack everything that you need to know about how to control your emotions and to have lifelong learning so that you can not only affect your emotions right now, but also for the remainder of your life. In this session then, I would like to discuss with you the 6 steps to emotional mastery, what you need to understand and how to control your emotions. So, what is the source of emotions? Well, as we discussed in the free session, it's all from your thoughts. It's how you react to situations around you, how you react to actions that you're taking or things that you're seeing and hearing. You are the source of your emotions. So many people say that they have to wait to experience certain things in their life before they feel emotion. And this is deep-rooted, as I said before, back to times when people told us what we should feel and how we should feel our emotions. The exercise that we did earlier proves that you can change your feelings and your emotions, change of a hat, just like that, whenever you want to. And emotions or actions are signals from your brain saying that you're experiencing something, you're feeling something, and it's not going quite right. And they're little bombs of help, not bombs to destroy, but bombs of help to come down from your brain and to help you realize that it's your perceptions or your actions or even both that's causing you these emotions, which are trying to tell you that you're struggling and that you need to keep moving forward. Specifically, you can look at the way that you're communicating your desires or needs to other people as well, because it's not just your actions but also the perceptions of others that can cause emotions. So unless they know exactly what it is you're trying to achieve or where you want to go, they're going to have no idea. So maybe you can look at how you can communicate a little bit better to other people what's going on. It could be what you are doing or what you're not doing is working, and you need to change your perception or approach, as I've just mentioned, as a call of action. So let's have a look at the first step in emotional mastery. You really need to identify what it is that you're feeling. Often people feel overloaded, so much coming in at them at any given time. You need to take a step back. You need to just press the pause button and say to yourself, what exactly is it that I'm feeling right now at this very moment? For example, you could be thinking that you're feeling anger, when in actual fact it's really hurt. It could be that you're angry about missing out on something, that you haven't been told about something, that you're not going to get something, and that's generated an anger inside you. But really, is it anger? Or is it hurt? Is it hurt that you've been missed out, that you've been left out of the equation, that you don't have the same information as everybody else, and it's the hurt that you're feeling rather than the anger, and the anger is just the frustration that you're feeling about not being included. So if we identify exactly what it is that we're feeling, then that will help us lower the intensity of the emotion and help us deal with it much quicker than we would normally do. The second thing is to acknowledge and appreciate your emotions, knowing that they're there to support you. As I've said earlier, they're like little packages of help being dropped by your brain to say, hey, there's something not quite right here, and I'm giving you this emotion as a little flag to say that it's not going how you think, and you may need to change your perceptions or your actions to achieve what you need. Now, you should never ever make your emotions wrong. You should never label them as being wrong, because this would break down the internal communication that you've got going between your brain and yourself. And you wouldn't be able to trust the messages coming from your brain, and that would just cause absolute chaos. So you should always trust your emotions. It's that sort of gut instinct that people have. So by trusting your emotions, you're believing the message that your brain is telling you, and therefore you keep the integrity going. Trust your emotions, as I've said, even if you don't understand them. Just accept them for a fact that they are a package of help coming down to tell you that something's not quite right and you need to tweak it and adjust just a little bit just to achieve your desired outcome. So actually trust your emotions. It's like a screaming child. If you don't trust your emotions and you ignore them, they're just going to get stronger. They will just keep going, they will keep getting stronger until you have to do something about them. That's the whole point of them. It's like a screaming child, as I said. You've got a kid who's having a tantrum or just not having a good moment. They're screaming their head off, and you just ignore them. What are they going to do? They're just going to continue. They're going to get worse. It's going to get stronger. They become louder, and they'll become more agitated and upset, and the whole thing just keeps going like a vicious circle. Whereas if you went over and addressed the child straight away and you help calm them down, help them realize that everything was going to be okay, soon you would have them back on a level playing field. They'd be back to doing whatever they were doing, causing havoc and drawing on things and all those other things that lovely little children get up to. But like I say, if you deal with it initially, then you'll be able to calm it down much quicker rather than allowing it to escalate and get out of hand and then having to spend lots of time and effort to address the issue. The third thing is to get curious. Get really curious about what the message is. Remember, the power we possess to change the emotional states. Back to the exercise that where you're slumped or you're up high. You're breathing in. You've got the power to change your emotional state at any given time. And a mindset where you're truly curious about something will cause you a pattern interrupt. It will change the neuro-linguistic patterning of your brain. So I don't know if you know what neuro-linguistic patterning is. Basically, it's, for want of a better description, let's describe a record. So you've got a record, it's on a record player, and the needle's on the record, and it's running around, and it's playing a tune. Let's say Lionel Richie, Dancing on the Ceiling, okay? Now, if you don't want Lionel Richie to dance on the ceiling anymore, if you take a sharp implement and actually scratch across the record, okay, he won't be dancing on the ceiling for very much longer. So what you're doing there, it's a bit like, the pattern interrupt that I've just described, the neuro-linguistic patterning. You're actually scratching it and redefining it. You're changing the way that you think. So by actually scratching the record in your mind, okay, by being curious, it's breaking the pattern that you've developed around that emotion, and it's actually saying to you, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Let's have a look. Let's think about it. So getting curious will help you master your emotions and solve the challenge. It will also prevent it from coming back, because when you see it coming again, you'll know that you've already made the change once before. You've done the NLP, the neuro-linguistic patterning, by scratching the record, and you've changed the outcome, so you know it works. So you'll actually be able to break the pattern much earlier in the cycle than you would have done before. So as you begin to feel curious, get curious what it has to offer you. What is this emotion actually offering you? And what you need to do now is to think how it can make things better. For example, if you're feeling lonely, get curious. Just misinterpreting the situation could be the whole problem. Are you actually alone? If you're feeling lonely, why are you feeling lonely? It's because you've got a desire to be with other people. Okay? So you can go out. You can meet other people. You can go to a coffee shop, have a coffee, interact with the person making the coffee. Hi, how's your day going? You having a good day? Yeah, I'm having a good day, thanks. And carrying on like that. Simple. It could be that you're just misinterpreting it. So a call to action, reach out and meet people. That is your call to action from loneliness. That's the message. So 4 questions you should really always ask yourself when you start to feel an emotion is, what do I really want to feel? Clearly you don't want to feel lonely, angry, frustrated, disappointed, or something like that. So you need to ask yourself what it is that you want to feel at that moment in time. So you're being curious, you're actually scratching a record, making yourself think, changing the pattern of thinking. What would I have to do in order to feel the way I've been feeling? Okay, so what actions have you actually taken to get to where you are? Okay, and if you work that out, then you can work out what actions you need to take yourself away from where you currently are. Okay, what am I willing to be able to do to create a solution to handle this emotion right now? That's the third question you need to ask. So what is it you need to do? You need to do something, otherwise you're still going to keep your emotion. And as I've said before, it's just going to intensify. So you need to do something. That's your third question. And the fourth one is, what can I learn from this? Ask yourself that question at the end. What can I learn from this? How can I recognize that emotion coming on again? How do I recognize the message it's giving me? Can I preempt it? Is there something I can do? As I've said before, this is lifelong learning that's going to enable you to control your emotions, to master your emotions, and to do it for the rest of your life wherever you need to be. And finally, the fourth one is get confident. Okay, get confident that you can handle your emotions immediately. The quickest and simplest and most powerful way is to remember a time when you've felt a similar emotion, and to think how you've dealt with that emotion and how the outcome was successful. So what you're doing is you're thinking about a situation where you've had this before, you've dealt with it and it's come out and it's been a success. So that's how you get confident. I've got a little exercise that I'd like you to take part in. Again, it's like the previous exercise. You need to fully involve yourself within the exercise to get the maximum benefit from it. So in a minute, I would like you to pause the webinar, and I would like you to think about a time when you felt some emotions and how you dealt with them. How you dealt with them in a positive way, so the outcome was positive. Now, what I would like you to do is to then think of those times as your foundations, as your base level, as your model for what you can do right now to change and feel how you act when you come up against those emotions again. Now, visualization is a very strong tool, so you're using your mind's eye, so you're visualizing in your mind what you will do, what you will say, how you will act, how you will react when that emotion pops up again. And you will notice that you will use the model that you've just thought about to diminish the intensity of the emotion, because you've dealt with it before and it's been successful. And you've got confidence because you've dealt with it successfully. So that's what I'd like you to do. Very quickly, in the next minute or so, is just to pause the webinar, think of a time when you've actually experienced an emotion, think how you dealt with that emotion, then think how you can deal with it in the future. So, you know, what sort of alarm bells are going to start ringing, what's going to kick off for you. So just take a moment, pause the webinar now, and I'll see you in a minute. Thanks very much. Welcome back. I hope you took part in the exercise, and I hope that you've thought of an emotion, time that you've dealt with it successfully, and then visualized how you're going to deal with it again. So what did you actually think about? What was the emotion that you thought about? And what was it that you did successfully to get a positive outcome? Was it your perceptions that you changed that time when it worked? Or was it your actions? Or was it both of them? So, you know, what did you actually do to achieve the desired outcome, to get rid of the emotion? Now, what I would like you to do is to make a conscious decision right now, and a rock solid decision right now, that you're going to use this foundation or this model the next time you feel that emotion. Okay? Now make that promise to yourself right now. When you next feel that emotion coming along, I'm going to deploy this tactic because I know this model worked, and I know that I've got the confidence because it's worked before, and I'm going to use it again. And that can be used for any other emotion that you experience, because you will have experienced all of these emotions and you would have dealt with them successfully. Otherwise, they would still be here. So by using this visualization, by using a model, you can now develop in your own time, whenever you like, a way forward where you can actually visualize what's going to happen, and then when you see it coming, you can put that plan into action, knowing full well that it's going to work, because the last time you did it, it worked and it was successful. The fifth one is to get a certainty about the fact that you can handle this today and in the future. Okay, so the confidence, now we're talking about the certainty. Okay, so a great way to reinforce this neurological pathway, as we've said, is to visualize. Scratch the record, put in a new pathway. Okay, visualize it in your head and think, yep, next time this happens, boom, 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 this is what I'm going to do. Now, visualization is such a powerful tool, and I'm going to do a webinar on it in the future. But I was in the military for 26 years, and I heard lots and lots of servicemen who'd been engaged in combat say, well, when it all kicked off, when all the bullets started whizzing around, the training just kicked in and everything was okay. Why? Because they do the training over and over and over again. Neuro-linguistic programming. It's in their mind. They don't need to think about it. Boom! The situation happens, they react, and everybody goes home. Happy days. So that's the way you can do it. There is another way. You can jot down on a piece of paper 3 or 4 different ways that you're going to change or react to a situation, your perception, your actions that you're going to change. And by writing it down on the paper, again, you're scratching that record, NLP, and you're recreating a pathway so that when you become aware of the emotion happening, you can actually move forward to it. The other way is that it could be helpful to communicate your needs or your desired outcome or your feelings with others. Okay? You can't just assume that people understand exactly what it is that you're talking about. You may need to explain, at whatever level required, what these people need to understand. Okay? So that they can better understand you. If you're a boss, there's no point in saying to people, this is where I want us to be, and then not telling them how to get there. Okay? You've got to explain to people the standards and the limitations, where they can go, where they can't go, and things like that. And it's the same in day-to-day life. If somebody's upset you, you need to explain to them why they've upset you so that you can stop that emotion from happening again. And then the last one, number 6, get excited and take action. Okay, now that you've finished those 5 steps, okay, so you've identified the feeling, you've appreciated the emotion instead of fighting it, you've gotten curious about the real meaning and the lesson that it's offering you, you've figured out how to turn things around using a model or a foundation, and you visualized it, you've rehearsed it in your mind over and over again. Now you need to take the action. Okay, you need to take action immediately to reinforce the fact that you can handle the situation and you can handle it confidently and with the certainty that you're going to get the outcome that you need. So the action needs to be taken straight away. Don't dilly-dally, just get on with it. Don't stay stuck in the limiting ways of your emotions. So, those steps will seem cumbersome to start off with. They'll feel a little bit clunky and a little bit unfamiliar. But with anything, it's like riding a bike. Initially, you're going to have a few wobbles, you're going to fall off, you'll have to pick yourself back up, dust yourself down, and keep going. Okay, that's life. Alright, we all fail at things, and we're all going to fall off the bike every now and then, but you just have to go with it and believe in it. Okay? So you're going to start getting used to it after a while. You'll start to get used to deploying and using these 6 steps that you can use to master virtually any emotion that you've got. Remember, the best time to handle an emotion is straight away. Handle it when you first experience, a bit like the screaming child. Okay, if you leave them, they'll get themselves into a really distressed state, and the situation would just take a lot more time to calm down and to diffuse. Whereas if you deal with it straight away, okay, less time, less effort, and the more that you deal with it each time, the more confidence that you'll have, and the better it will grow and develop, and you'll get used to using it. Thank you very much. That's the first 6 steps. There's another 2 sessions to come. The next session that I'm going to talk to you about is called action signals. There's 10 action signals, and what I'm going to do is break them down into their component parts, and this will give you the meaning of 10 common emotions and the actions that you can take to resolve those emotions. Thanks very much. I look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Cheers.